if I can ask Vinay to come and share his story.
I'm here to share my life experience regarding mental health. So I've made connections between my experience as a South Asian, between cricket that we all love, and how I've gone about solving these mental health issues. So I want to talk about my specific experience of seeing a therapist for the last 10 years. So I want to share how that came about. So I was at my uncle's house and I was sharing with him that I just graduated from university. I was at my dream job and I achieved a lot of things which I thought I would and I wanted to. Yeah, I was feeling quite disappointed, quite an emptiness inside, and I didn't like that feeling. So I asked him, he's a psychiatrist, what are your thoughts on the matter? So he said to me, Vinny, have you ever thought about seeing a therapist? So I was like, no, I kind of dismissed it. I thought, no, not really. I mean, how can words be that powerful? I mean, my view of a therapist was like, you share your feelings, they ask you questions back, and I just said, no, how can that help? Any proper solutions to my problems? So he was like, no, actually, Vinny, words are very powerful. If I give you an analogy, if you have an issue in your life, sometimes you need professionals. If your car breaks down, you need to take it to a mechanic. If your roof starts leaking, you need to get a plumber or a roofer in, a professional, someone who knows more than you. So in your scenario, if you're having these mental health issues and you've got questions about your emotions, you need to speak to an expert, which is a therapist. And that sold it to me. I thought, yeah, that's a really good point, that actually. Let me explore seeing a therapist, which I did. So I hired one, and I shared the same concerns with the therapist. And, I'm feeling a bit empty with my scenario. What do you think? What are your thoughts on the matter? So they asked me more questions about my childhood, about my experiences, and they asked me about my family, what I would do in certain scenarios. This is like data collection. They're finding out about how your brain works before they give you the answer. And they asked me a very specific question. They asked me, I want you to name 5 things in the world which is most important to you. Only 5 things. So I rattled off things like, I think money is quite important, health, friends for banter, a bit of fun, travelling, and a car for independence, roaming around. So answers like that. And I think most people would say answers along those lines, like a bigger house, something like that. So the therapist said your answers, they're okay, but in fact, they wouldn't get into most human beings' top 5. So the therapist said, what about oxygen and water? Well, without oxygen, you'd be dead in a minute. Without water, you'd be dead in days. And what about all your important organs? So the point she was trying to make is that in my pursuit of seeking more and more the next thing, I was ignoring all the thousands and tens of thousands of things which I already had, which Sir already mentioned before. So things like, all the nervous system, eyes, ability to read and write. And I thought, yes, it's a reasonable point. And she gave me a more specific, expansive exercise to do. So from that day forward, she asked me, in a journal, I want you to write down one brand new thing every day that you're grateful for, and your answers can never repeat. So I'm still doing this 5 years on. So initially it's quite easy. You come up with answers like, I can walk, I have health, I can sleep. But as time goes on, you've got to get a lot more creative. So now I'm thinking, I have the ability to see colour. So my eyes have rods and cones, I can see colour. If I break a bone or muscle, my body has the ability to heal. And I think at the start, when I started this exercise, I was very sceptical. I thought, surely this can't help. But as I've done it, I'm not sure the exact reason why. My therapist can't explain exactly why, but tricks and exercises like these does help. And I feel like as time's gone on, my brain's rewired itself. So I'm no longer getting stressed about that 1 or 2 things I don't have. And instead, I feel so much more full because I'm acknowledging all the thousands of things that I do have in my life. And this kind of sets the tone for my therapist that every time I have an issue, I go to my therapist with it and she gives me an exercise to do. And this is how it works. I want to talk a bit about why maybe in the South Asian community we might not seek out therapists, and I'm also in your camp. And I think there were two main reasons why, which I think maybe we can all relate to. The first reason is that in the South Asian community I felt like a ghost growing up, because whenever I did want to talk to somebody, whether it's a family member or an extended community or extended family, I didn't really get practical solutions to my problems. So whatever I would say, they would say something like, "Oh, get married," or "Don't worry, just ignore it, it'll sort itself out." And I didn't think that was useful. And secondly, I think in the community, we have this environment where there's a lot of jealousy. So I feel like people want to find out something about you so they can gossip about you and shame you and bring you down. So obviously to your face, everyone is very kind and they put on a face, but I think we all know deep down in some communities this can happen where there's that sabotage environment. So I think for those reasons, most people don't like to talk, including myself. And I think a therapist is a really good outlet because you don't have those issues. They don't make me feel like a ghost because they acknowledge the problem I have and they're professional solutions to my issue. And secondly, privacy. I don't have to worry about them sharing that information with anyone else. I can just talk to them and I can share everything and anything, knowing that I give them the full information and give them the full answer. I don't be defensive about it. So it's completely changed my life. I feel like I've had access to information which I wouldn't have had if I hadn't pursued this route. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. It's really quite easy to seek out therapists. You can go for your GP and they'll refer you to somebody, or you can go online. There's so many links. Like Mind is a really powerful organisation that you can go to. And like I said, I was really sceptical about this as well when I started. I probably, like most of you, I think this cannot work, it probably won't work. But to my surprise, it has done, which is why I'm still seeing the therapist. And as time goes on, as I evolve, I'll change as a human being, and I'll have new problems and I'll need new solutions. So this is a really strong resource which I urge everyone to seek out. It might not be right for you, but what's the harm in trying? Yeah, if anyone has any questions regarding anything I've mentioned, feel free to reach out to me through Dev or directly. Be happy to discuss anything. And yeah, thanks to the YCF for having me as well, allowing me to talk about my experience.
Just to capture what Vinny's just done there, I think the speakers before Vinny spoke about theory, they spoke about concepts, about principles, about ideologies. To do what Vinny's just done there, to speak about his own experience, takes a lot of courage, and it takes a brave person to speak in front of that, in front of an audience. So that was really, really powerful. Thank you so much, Vinny, for sharing that journey and sharing that with us. It gives us all, I guess, hope that when things are not going according to how we expect them to, or how others expect them to, there's always a way through it. So thank you so much for that.